On our planet, there are many beautiful and interesting places at first sight, but if you linger a little there, and you are already in mortal danger, in this video we will just look at such places that attract with their landscapes, but pose a hidden threat, and meddle there without an experienced guide is like suicide. The geothermal region in the south of Iceland, often referred to as Smoky Valley, is a beautiful valley that is fraught with serious danger. This valley is known for its hot river, in which you can swim, but you should not do this without an experienced guide, as the water temperature can be too high in certain places. Wandering through the landscape is allowed only along marked paths. You cannot leave the path, because hot gases, smoke, splashes of water and mud can severely burn you. The smoking zone has an eerie appearance and a very strong smell of sulfur. But if you follow all the safety measures and stick to the paved paths, then the landscapes will delight you with bewitching views. Here you can see hot springs, from small gurgling fountains to vibrating pools with very hot water and scalding steam. The port city of Port Moresby, in the east of New Guinea, is located, perhaps, one of the most dangerous cities in the world for humans. The capital of crime and death is the city of Port Moresby. In appearance, this is the most ordinary town, even a little attractive. It is encircled by the Gulf of Papua. The city appeared in 1873, and Captain and Navigator John Moresby is considered the founding father. Port Moresby accommodated a large number of people in its small territory. The port itself is spread along the coast and consists of many separate districts and towns. This is where the main passions begin. Despite the fact that the city has its own government and governors, the city sags under the weight of the gangs operating here. Tribes of bloodthirsty Papuans live in the local forests, ready to kill anyone who enters their territory. Most often this happens with tourists, on account of their many attacks, murders, and thefts. All this is done because of the lack of food in the regions and money. Surtsey is a young volcanic island in the very south of Iceland, which appeared on the surface of the ocean in 1963 as a result of the eruption of an underwater volcano. The island was declared a nature reserve in 1965, when the active volcanic eruption ceased. For all the time, the right to visit the island was given to a few scientists. It is much easier and safer, from a scientific point of view, to explore the island from an airplane. In 2008, UNESCO declared Surtsey a World Heritage Site in recognition of its great scientific value. Scientists can observe in real time how life is born and develops on the new island, which plants are the first to take root on the volcanic rock and which animals are the first to become the main inhabitants. During the first 20 years, 20 plant species were discovered. When birds began to nest on the island and the quality of the soil improved, the species diversity immediately increased. In 1998, the first bush grew on the island for the first time, Willow felicalista. By 2008, 69 plant species have been described on Surtsey, of which 30 were previously known. Every year, scientists discover 2 to 5 new plant species. Currently, most of the island is covered with mosses and lichens. Boiling Lake. The national park of the island nation of Dominica, in the Caribbean, is an area of increased volcanic activity. The water temperature in the boiling lake reaches 90 degrees Celsius, and there are hardly any people who want to check the temperature of the source on their own skin. It is enough to look from the side and it becomes clear that the water is practically boiling here. Today, the lake with boiling water is a well-known, but hard-to-reach landmark of Dominica. There is no direct road leading directly to the lake. Usually tourists have to overcome the 13-kilometer rise towards it from the nearest road. Queimada Grande Island. A small island, hidden in the Atlantic Ocean just 35 kilometers from Brazil, visually seems like a paradise. Lush greenery, clear water, and the complete absence of tourists, what else do you need for a perfect vacation? There is only one problem as soon as you step on the island, and you immediately find yourself in mortal danger. The island of Queimada Grande is literally teeming with snakes. For every square meter of Queimada Grande, there are between 1 and 5 snakes. Moreover, most of the species are deadly poisonous, and some of the species are completely endemic and are found only on this island. With food on the island itself, things are SOSO for snakes, so reptiles have adapted to hunt migratory birds that stop here to rest. For this reason, the poison of local snakes over time has become much stronger and more dangerous than that of relatives living in more comfortable conditions, so that the bird does not have time and a chance to take to the air and die outside the island. Local snakes pose a deadly threat to humans. Queimada Grande is the only place in the world where one of the most dangerous snakes lives, the island botrops. Its bite can kill a mouse in 2 seconds. The poison of island botrops causes rapid tissue necrosis, acute renal failure, cerebral bleeding, and a number of unpleasant and painful consequences. Queimada Grande is closed to tourists. Firstly, in order to preserve its unique flora and fauna. Secondly, it is simply very dangerous. The history of the island remembers several cases with a sad outcome. Somehow a group of sailors, unaware of the danger, landed to explore the island, and after 10 meters they received the first bites. Only 2 sailors out of 8 managed to escape. Mount Washington is another very dangerous place. Mount Washington at 1,917 meters is considered the highest in the northeastern United States. It is known for its changeable weather and for a long time held the record for the highest wind speed measured on the Earth's surface, 372 km/h. At its top there is a weather station, the workers of which decided to demonstrate the strength of the wind with a speed of over 175 km per hour. Mount Washington is known for its changeable weather, in particular the intersection of wind directions, mainly from the Atlantic Ocean, the southeast and northwest coasts of the United States. In the period from November to April, strong winds, on average, last up to 16 hours a day. Danakil Depression. The Danakil Depression is located in the northern part of the Afar Basin on the border of Ethiopia and Eritrea, being part of the desert of the same name. It is the hottest place on Earth and one of the lowest places on the planet. Volcanoes, geysers, acid pools, huge salt fields and colorful mineral lakes, all this awaits a traveler who has lost his way or purposefully decided to poke his head into this area. Artail volcano crater in the Danakil Desert. This is one of the 5 known volcanoes in the world that have a lava lake, as well as the only volcano in the world that has 2 lava lakes at once, which makes it truly unique. The Danakil Depression is the hottest place on Earth in terms of average high temperature throughout the year. The maximum temperature is 63 degrees Celsius. During the summer the temperature never falls below 40 degrees Celsius, and during the year below 34 degrees Celsius. The Danakil Depression is one of the lowest places on the planet. It is located 125 meters below sea level. Johannesburg is the largest metropolis on the African continent and the largest city in South Africa, a city built on gold and diamonds, the financial capital of Africa and at the same time a hotbed of crime. The white inhabitants of this city live in closed areas, from which it is better not to leave at night, and even during the day it is better to travel only by car. Johannesburg, or, as the locals call it, Joburg, or African New York, experienced an unprecedented flourishing for the continent in the 20th century in the mining of diamonds and gold, and in the 1990s, with the abolition of the apartheid regime, plunged into the abyss of criminal chaos. Today Johannesburg is included in the list of the most dangerous cities in the world. The history of Johannesburg is rather unusual. In February 1886, the Australian John Harrison, who was extracting stone for construction in this place, accidentally discovered a rock that he identified as gold-bearing. Thus, the richest golden arc formed about 2.5 billion years ago was discovered, a chain of deposits that has brought humanity more than 48,000 tons of precious metal to date, which is about 40% of all gold mined by people. News of the sensational find quickly spread throughout the area, and by the following year, about 3,000 people lived at the site of Harrison's discovery in a rapidly built town. This is what future Johannesburg looked like at the dawn of its existence. For almost the entire 20th century, the city grew. By 1985, its population was already 2.5 million people. The City of Gold became a metropolis with skyscrapers made of glass and concrete, luxurious hotels and restaurants. Although it was a city for whites, and the official ideology of South Africa played an important role in such prosperity dubbed apartheid, which translates as separateness. The indigenous population of Africa simply did not have the opportunity and the right to appear on the streets of this city without a special pass. The apartheid system ended after the first democratic elections in South Africa in 1994. The black majority, which gained the right to vote, elected Nelson Mandela as president, and at the same time, Johannesburg began to change rapidly and at times beyond recognition. Johannesburg, like Detroit, has been seriously affected by the phenomenon of white flight. When the whites began to leave the city center they had inhabited, African settlers from the black townships poured into the liberated areas. Many buildings were abandoned, business districts were captured by street gangs. Due to the flight of the whites and the advent of street gangs, the business districts of Hillbrow and Berea were especially affected, which turned into criminal ghettos. The white minority quickly created a new development center for itself in the northern suburb of Sandton. All business activity has shifted there. Now it is one of the safest areas of the city. The former largest areas with glass skyscrapers were actually captured. The most striking example of this was the residential complex Ponte City. Built in 1975, the 54-story tower has set new standards for prestigious housing in Johannesburg since commissioning. A luxurious building with an internal atrium and luxury apartments in the 1990s, black gangs took over, turning an elite condominium into a hotbed of crime and drug addiction. The bottom of the atrium acted as a dump 5 stories high. In recent years, the South African government has been trying to turn the tide. The state allocates quite serious money for the regeneration of the country's largest city and the restoration of its positive reputation. Buildings that have degraded over the past 20 years are being reconstructed, and the still relatively small black middle class that has appeared in these years is settled here. They even managed to reconstruct the tower, clearing it of debris and freeing it from brothels and gangs. In recent years, the South African authorities have been trying to return the city to its former glory. Crime, although it has decreased, still remains at a high level. In central Johannesburg, tourists, especially whites, are still advised not to get out of their cars. The racial division has turned its back, and now the whites have become hostages of their own rules. Well, that's all for today. Thank you all for watching. If it was interesting, support the video with likes. Thank you for subscribing, and take a look at what else we have prepared for you.